Connecting with Gradient is a true sharing economy hub that focuses on the labor and energy sector. This alternative community challenges not only the typical private ownership model of energy and resources, but also the existing exploitative sharing economy, such as Uber, Airbnb, and PG&E. It seeks to reconnect divided neighborhoods and become a leading regenerative model for other districts and cities.
Located in Oakland, the project site is proposed to take over a portion of the underutilized I-980 highway. It is situated between the neighborhoods of Ralph Bunche, Oak Center, Uptown, and downtown Oakland. Historically, the construction of the I-980 highway has displaced many community members, forcing them to pack their bags and leave their homes. It also created a physical divide between the residences to the west and the commercial spaces to the east. In this image, it is clear to see how the highway physically divides the land. Looking west, we see a low-lying skyline in the residential area, which greatly differs from the skyline in the downtown area. The slope of the site dips down towards the 18th Street Bridge and gradually rises as it reaches San Pablo Avenue. As we will see later, our design intent is to respect the low-lying roof height to the west and utilize the existing slope of the site.
Inspired by Hannah Arendt's metaphor on the table, to live together in a world means essentially that a world of things is between those who have it in common. As a table is located between those who sit around it, the world, like every in-between, relates and separates men at the same time.
Our property strategy is a combination of the commons and the eco-district. Our site itself acts as a commons for multiple resource organizations to coexist and work together. These organizations would include energy, food, and culture collectives. Traditionally, the commons is defined as a cultural and natural resource accessible to all members of society. These resources are held in common, not owned privately. In this respect, we envision that our site allows organizations to work cooperatively with one another and adhere to a barter system with minimal monetary interactions. This way, labor, resources, knowledge, and skill sets are shared in common. Our second strategy is to introduce an eco-district, which is a large-scale scheme incorporated into the surrounding context where the building of eco-friendly infrastructure is prioritized. But more importantly, property owners receive a reduction in property tax so that they may give that deduction to the commons as a means of financial support. In return, the commons would provide energy services in exchange, such as solar panel installation, energy consultation, and analysis. This creates a mutually beneficial relationship between the commons and the surrounding community through a web of connections. The commons is not exclusive to the organizations within. Community stakeholders such as carpenters, seniors, schools, and small business owners can become members and decision makers of the commons through a yearly investment. In return, they would receive special services, including free tool rental for the carpenters or free tutoring for students at schools. These stakeholders also receive a dividend share of any profits made at the end of the fiscal year. Shifting our focus to the zoning and division of our site, we take a look at the traditional parcelization of the surrounding context. Land is typically divided up into rectangular parcels where clear legal lines separate property ownership. Our site, which is currently a highway, contains no established zoning or parcel lines. So, in order to reframe property, we are introducing an overlapping mixture of programmed space to emphasize the sharing economy and a gradient of use and ownership.
The proposed programs are arranged into 4 main categories, which are food, culture, transportation, and energy. They're implemented on the site based on adjacent communities. For instance, transportation is designated between the auto repair store and the Greyhound station. Food and culture are located on either side of the site next to the West and Uptown Oakland neighborhoods to foster reconnection between them. And energy is located on the north and south ends of the site to take advantage of the topography for water runoff and solar gain. In contrast to the existing gridded circulation, the True Sharing Economy Hub proposes a web-like network that enhances interconnectivity and encourages pedestrians to meander throughout the site. In the food category, there are community gardens and kitchens that ensure public food security. In culture, there are libraries and classrooms that help build a more inclusive learning environment. In transportation, a bike kitchen and vehicle sharing center seek to increase urban mobility. And in energy, a water treatment facility and solar garden provide renewable energy and sustainability to the eco-district. Our formal strategy is a series of iterative P-pods. They act as collectors, intersect and overlap one another, which echoes the collaborative collectives within the commons, and forms interesting shared spaces that stimulate social interactions.
This drawing of our ground floor plan represents 4 of our key design ideas. The first being the creation of a creek that utilizes an existing storm drain that passes through our site and flows with the existing topography. Vegetation and naturally occurring bacteria cleanses the water as it flows through the site. Eventually, the water is collected into water tanks located at the water treatment facility. Here, the water is further examined and, when deemed usable, is redirected through pipes for reuse. For example, reusable water can nourish the community garden located in the food sector. Here, we also notice the use of iterative P-pods that foster overlapping activities.
Our section perspective further illustrates the ways in which the P-pods contain overlaps for a rich display of uses and activities in the larger context of the Oakland landscape. Gradients between the energy, food, culture, and transportation sectors are laid out through this vision of the commons and the true sharing economy.
Closing in on the overlap between energy and culture, a space for interaction with energy, sustainability, and education is nestled into the slope site. The terrace seating and shelving provides ample room for community members to share learning resources and knowledge. Large openings invite the creek and vegetation indoors for those who need a breath of fresh air. The tall ceiling height hosts a projected screen for viewers to watch and catch up on the latest films. The space allows the public to learn about native ecology and reimagine energy infrastructures through interactive exhibitions. The reimagination of the energy economy is essential for our project in order to counter the extractive practices of PG&E, because they are responsible for rolling power outages and expansive fires due to their inability in maintaining and securing power lines throughout the state. Millions of Californians have noticed this irresponsibility and demand change.
Our next focus is between the food and energy sector, where a waste-to-energy production center can be found. Connected to the kitchen incubator and the terraced garden, it generates energy from methane collection from food compost. The kitchen incubator helps local food entrepreneurs to set the ground for running their own small businesses. It provides services such as business consultation and easily accessible food production spaces. Building a supportive community is especially crucial, as laborers have been exploited with their wages extracted and undervalued by employers as a result of property privatization. Next, in the overlap of food and culture, we see how growing food in a community garden teaches generations of people essential skill sets. The terraced ground provides food for local community and creates a natural landscape that serves as nature's classroom. In this section of the garden, wild ginger is being grown to be made into warm tea. A special mix of water and plant knowledge allows these shrubs to grow healthy. And a father wheelbarrows his daughter through the fresh lavender field.
In this view, we highlight 3 activities within the overlap of transportation and energy. First, a newly trained solar panel installer readies himself for his task ahead. Second, a member of the community coming by to charge his electric vehicle for free with energy provided by the solar farm. And third, a happy homeowner ready to learn how she can save money on her energy bills in the coming winter months.
Connecting with Gradient re-envisions an alternative community that is regenerative and empowers people. It breaks free from the typical boundaries that have historically fragmented neighborhoods and cities into a more free and just one.